Hey there, this is RJ Debate. Sharp arguments, no fluff. Today's topic is how graphs and data visuals can totally mess with what we believe. Are charts secretly controlling our reality?
And I'm the guy saying, relax. Graphs aren't evil, they're just tools. I'm more on the data viz can save us side, while you're kind of the this shit is dangerous side, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm the graphs can seriously screw with your brain camp. Because we think we're seeing facts, but actually, we're seeing a story in costume.
Okay, that's a nice line, story in costume. But I'd say the core question today is this. Do visualizations mainly help people understand the world, or do they mainly help people believe nonsense more confidently?
Let me start with a scene. It's morning, you're half asleep, scrolling your phone, and boom, there's a dramatic red graph, title in all caps, like Hidden Proof the Economy is Collapsing or The Real Pandemic Cover Up. You look at it for what? 2 seconds, and your gut goes, oh shit, that looks legit.
Yeah, the classic doom scroll graph.
Right. And you don't check the source, you don't check the axis, you don't check the context. But the shape and colors feel professional. That's what some media theorists call authority of form. Neil Postman talked about how different media formats carry their own built-in credibility. A graph looks official, so your brain treats it like proof.
I'm with you on that. The form itself feels like a credential. But that doesn't mean we throw out graphs. It means we have to be aware that we're not just consuming data, we're consuming design.
Sure. But here's my beef. Our brain is not designed to calmly audit that design. Daniel Kahneman in Thinking Fast and Slow talks about System 1 and System 2. System 1 is fast, intuitive, emotional. System 2 is slow, logical, effortful. Graphs hit System 1 first. The smooth curve, the bold colors, the scary spike. All of that gets processed before your slow brain even wakes up.
Yeah, psychologists call it cognitive fluency, right? When something is easy to process, we're more likely to believe it, even if it's wrong.
Exactly. So when you see a clean, good-looking chart, your brain goes, easy to read, so it must be true. That's a built-in bias. We literally mistake looks smooth for is correct.
I still think you're blaming the graph a bit too much. Humans have always believed slick stories. Long before Excel, we fell for rumors, myths, and charismatic speeches. The graph is just the new costume. The real problem is our psychology and our lack of training to question visuals.
Okay, let's steel man your side for a second. You'd say visualizations are powerful because humans are visual animals, and when they're done honestly, like what Edward Tufte calls high data integrity, they can reveal patterns we'd never see in a table of numbers.
Thank you, yes. Tufte talks about things like the lie factor, how much a graph visually exaggerates the actual change in the data. When designers keep that honest, charts can help us see reality more clearly, not less.
But even Tufte admits you can use these same tools to lie. Truncated y-axis, cherry-picked time ranges, changing scales mid-graph, all that stuff. And in the wild, that's what goes viral.
True, a lot of the viral stuff is basically weaponized chart design, but I'd argue the answer is to spread Tufte, not ban charts.
Let's pull in some history because I like that your precious neutral tools have been starting bullshit for centuries. In 1835, there was the Great Moon Hoax. A New York paper ran detailed reports claiming astronomers had found forests, temples, even bat people living on the moon.
Yeah, the Sun newspaper, it looked scientific, had diagrams, technical language, the whole thing.
Exactly. It was the early version of authoritative form. People didn't have the tools to verify it, but the format felt official. Then jump to 1938, the War of the Worlds radio broadcast. Orson Welles reads it in news bulletin style. People panic. Some actually think aliens are invading. Again, the format, news bulletin, acts like a stamp of reality.
So the pattern is, whatever the dominant medium is, newspaper, radio, TV, now social feeds, once it looks like the official style, people lower their guard.
Exactly. And now the official style is a clean dashboard screenshot, a colorful line chart, maybe a fake logo in the corner. It's the same old trick in Canva clothes.
But notice something. In those old cases, people eventually caught on. The moon hoax was exposed. The War of the Worlds panic was later debunked. The damage was real, but not permanent.
I'd say the damage was longer than we think, but okay.
My point is, the solution wasn't to ban newspapers or radio. It was literacy. People learned that the medium can lie. I think we're in that learning phase with graphs and algorithmic feeds now.
I want to believe that, but I think there's a twist today. Scale and speed. A manipulated chart can reach millions in hours, boosted by algorithms that optimize for emotional engagement, not accuracy. A 2018 study in Science by Vasugi and colleagues showed that false news spreads faster and further than true news on Twitter. That's not just a cute little glitch, that's a structural problem.
Yeah, that evidence is pretty strong. False tweets went further because they were more surprising and emotional. And emotional content is what the platform loves because it keeps people hooked.
There's this phrase riffing on McLuhan, the algorithm is the message. It's not just what you post, it's what the algorithm decides to amplify. And in that ecosystem, deceptive graphs are like performance-enhancing drugs. They're emotional, visual, easy to share, and they fit on a phone screen.
So here's where I partly join your side. I don't think graphs are neutral anymore once they enter that algorithmic ecosystem. The design plus the distribution system creates something new, a kind of infodemic, like the World Health Organization called it during COVID.
Totally. And graphs play a starring role in conspiracy culture. You see these charts in Telegram groups or fringe forums with arrows, red circles, timelines, all trying to prove there's a hidden plan behind everything.
The classic corkboard with red string, but in PNG format.
Exactly. And here's where psychology comes in again. Leon Festinger's theory of cognitive dissonance says when reality clashes with our beliefs, we feel this mental discomfort and will twist almost anything to reduce that discomfort. So if your prophecy fails, like in Festinger's famous study of a doomsday cult, you don't say, we were wrong. You say, actually, our faith saved the world.
And in modern conspiracies, the chart becomes part of that twisting. If the data doesn't match the belief, you rescale the axis, you cherry-pick dates, you highlight only the part of the curve that fits the narrative.
Yep. And then you've got what Benedict Anderson called imagined communities, groups of people who never meet in person but feel like a community because they share the same story. Now that story is glued together with screenshots of charts and evidence boards.
So a misleading graph isn't just a bad graphic, it becomes a kind of sacred object inside that community.
And that's why I'm pessimistic, because once a graph becomes sacred, you can't fix it with a better graph. You're not in the realm of logic anymore, you're in identity. People defend the chart because it's part of us.
I agree that once identity is involved, you're not just doing fact-checking, you're doing group therapy. But I still think visualizations can be part of the solution. For example, some public health teams used simple, transparent charts during the pandemic with clear explanations, uncertainty bands, honest updates. That kind of communication builds trust over time.
Maybe. But even then, the more honest charts often lost the attention war. The scary, simplistic, or conspiratorial visuals still got more clicks because they played directly into our emotional biases.
True, and that's backed by attention economy research. But I want to push back on your fatalism. There's early evidence, still preliminary to be fair, that when people learn a few basic visual literacy tricks, like spotting truncated axes or misleading color scales, they become less vulnerable to being fooled.
Okay, that's interesting. Like a graph hygiene starter pack.
Yeah, like 1, always check if the y-axis starts at 0. 2, check the time range. 3, look for missing context. Not as bullets, just simple questions people keep in mind.
I like that idea, but I'd argue that literacy alone is not enough. We also need design ethics and platform responsibility. If the system keeps rewarding the worst offenders, individual literacy is fighting a forest fire with a water gun.
Completely fair. So maybe the real debate isn't, are graphs good or bad, but who should bear the responsibility? Is it mainly on the viewer, the designer, or the platform?
Nice reframing. My position would be all three, but right now the burden is unfairly dumped on the viewer. We tell people do your own research, but we also design graphs that exploit every cognitive bias, then run them through algorithms tuned for maximum outrage. That's not a fair fight.
So you want stronger norms or even rules for visual integrity. Like if you're a big news outlet or a government agency, you follow something like Tufte's integrity guidelines by default.
Yes, honest scales, clear sources, visible uncertainty, no cheap tricks. And platforms could flag or downrank stuff that breaks basic integrity, the same way they sometimes label deepfakes or manipulated images.
I'm on board with that, as long as we admit it's messy and contested. There's always going to be a gray zone where it's hard to say if a chart is misleading or just, simplified. That's going to be an ongoing argument, not a solved problem.
Totally. The line between persuasion and manipulation is fuzzy as hell. But right now, we barely even have the conversation. Your average person might know about fake photos, but not fake-ish charts.
Okay, let's talk solutions in a more human way. If someone is listening to this and thinking, crap, I've definitely been fooled by charts in my group chat, what can they actually do next time?
First thing, slow down. Our whole problem is that graphs hit us in fast mode. So next time you see a viral chart that makes you feel very angry or very relieved, that's your red flag. When your emotion spikes, your skepticism should also spike.
Nice. Emotional spike equals check the fine print.
Exactly. Second, ask what's missing. Is there a time range chopped off, a group not shown, a number that sounds big but has no denominator? A lot of bullshit graphs collapse the context so the picture looks cleaner.
I'd add, whenever possible, try to find the original source, not the reposted meme, but the actual report or dataset. It's annoying, but honestly, in the age of screenshots, who made this is half the battle.
And if you can't find the source at all, treat it like gossip. Entertaining maybe, but not something you build your worldview on.
Treat your charts like gossip is also good tote bag material.
We're starting a whole merch line out of this episode.
Let's zoom out for a second. You've painted a pretty dark picture. Algorithms amplifying deceitful visuals. Conspiracies turning graphs into sacred objects. Human brains wired to fall for cognitive fluency. Do you actually think we can ever get to a point where the average person and the average chart have a healthy relationship?
I think maybe not perfect, but better. Historically, we did get better at reading newspapers, at not believing every rumor on the radio, at spotting TV propaganda. It took decades, and the harms were real, but literacy grew. I can imagine a future where kids learn visual literacy in school right next to reading and writing.
Yeah, kids learning how to read bar charts the way they read stories.
Exactly. And not just how to make them pretty, but how they can lie. Teaching the tricks openly, like here is how people will try to manipulate you with visuals.
That's the humanist angle I like. Not ban the tech, but upgrade the humans. Some ethicists in data visualization make that argument. Design visuals that respect cognitive limits instead of exploiting them, and build literacy that respects people's capacity to learn.
I'm okay ending there. Graphs are not demons, they're mirrors and amplifiers. They reflect our biases and then turn up the volume. If we ignore that, yeah, they're dangerous. If we face it, maybe they can actually help us see our own bullshit more clearly.
So my closing position would be data visualization is one of the best tools we've got for making complex reality understandable, but it's a sharp tool. Without ethics, platform responsibility, and public literacy, it cuts us more than it helps us.
And my closing position, right now in the real world, we underestimate how easily we're tricked by visuals. Until we take that seriously at every level, schools, media, platforms, we should treat viral charts with a lot more suspicion than we do.
If you're listening to this, the next time a chart makes you go, wow, what the hell? Just add one more beat and ask, okay, why does this feel so convincing and what might I be missing?
And if you catch a misleading graph, send it to your friends not just to mock it, but to practice reading it together. Turn it into a mini literacy exercise, not just drama.
Homework in the group chat.
Exactly. Toxic meme detox. All right, we're going to wrap it here.
This was a fun one.
RJ, debate signing off. Drop your verdict in the comments.
Whose side are you on? Graphs are dangerous or graphs can save us? Let us know, and we'll see you in the next round.